Hi there, and welcome to Joe Good's Workbench. Some years ago, I got this toy keyboard for my kids. I hacked it, obviously, and I added some unusual features. Then I made some music with it. It still works fine, and my kids love it. And I use it for playing kid songs every now and then. That works well enough as long as I use only one hand. The problem is the keyboard has two-tone polyphony-ish. When two keys are pressed at the same time, often only one tone plays. For playing chords and a melody, this is annoying, and the keyboard is pretty much useless for that. And so I went on the German version of Craigslist and looked for a simple keyboard that is actually playable. Close to my house, this old beauty here showed up for next to nothing. A Bontempi ES 4100. As you can see, I bought it. The previous owner had also bought it used, and it came without instructions. But that's easy, right? So I thought. I just quickly Google for a manual. Turns out that is harder than planned, because this thing is a phantom. Bontempi is a traditional Italian music instrument company that became famous in the 1970s for making affordable electronic home organs and harmonia. Their instruments are mostly designed for recreational use, and many of them are just toys. The company started making electronic keyboards in the mid-1980s, and they are still active today. And they still make keyboards of different quality, and also horrible looking and sounding small kids' toy keyboards and other equally horrible instruments, such as that guitar here. I turned that one here into a ukulele a while ago. My keyboard here has no date printed on it, but the design looks like late 80s or early 90s. I will check for more clues inside later. It is actually made in Italy, which surprised me. It is in nearly perfect shape. The plastic looks great, and there are no cracks and almost no scratches. All music keys work fine, however I noticed that some of the instrument keys here don't do anything. Let's fix that first. After removing a whole bunch of screws, including a mean hidden one, the case came apart. The inside looks nice and clean, but there was a corroded battery contact here that I had already cleaned and fixed off camera. The circuit board here has the contacts for all the buttons, so let's take that out next. Those of you who watch either EEVblog or Adrian's Digital Basement will already have a hint what is wrong. That area here looks bad. The traces are corroded and cracked. It is probably no coincidence that the area is close to the battery contact. I am sure that sometime in the past, some electrolyte from a leaking battery went first into the case, then around the corner, and then onto that board. I fixed the broken traces using some fine wire. Then I reassembled the keyboard far enough to try it out. To my surprise, the buttons still didn't work, and I had to dig in a bit deeper. The key contacts are arranged in a matrix of X and Y signal lines that end up in these two connectors. Each button closes a crossing point in series with a diode. That tells me that the key matrix is what is called Charlieplexed, and that the same signal lines are used for detecting other key presses, probably here. All of these keys work, so the signal processing itself should work fine. I measured the effect of the button presses using my multimeter in diode mode. The values here are hard to interpret on their own, because I measure the diode breakthrough voltage with the resistance of the button in series. But for comparison, the measurements work. The buttons that didn't function had a very high value, and that indicates that the contact pads were bad, probably because of the battery liquid. I cleaned the pads with alcohol and also resoldered the corroded diode leads. After that, some values were still too high, however. What worked best at the end was carefully sanding the pads down using fine sandpaper and alcohol. That button here was extra stubborn and only worked reliably after I replaced the diode. But now all buttons work fine and I can reassemble the keyboard. I was surprised how little information I could find about my keyboard. The website has no heritage section, and besides offers on used stuff websites, there's almost no information about it. It does not help either that there seems to be newer Bontempi models with a similar name. The ICs on the circuit board have what looks like date codes, and they hint towards the year 1990. I tried googling the IC labels but couldn't find anything meaningful. The IC here is made by Motorola, obviously, but that is about it what I could find. For that IC here, even the manufacturer is hard to find, but I did find the logo. The three smaller ICs are two op-amps and a 1.5 watt power amp, and every search for a manual produced only instructions for newer models. Well, I guess I don't need the instructions, but I might miss hidden functions. The keyboard has 6 instruments. There is clarinet, bells, a guitar, and piano. And there are 2 types of organs, a what they call jazz organ and a church organ. There is switchable sustain and a vibrato mode. None of the instruments sounds overly realistic, but I actually love it. The keys feel surprisingly decent and playable, but they are a bit too sensitive for my fingers. And the speaker is surprisingly decent too, and sounds much better than these crappy radio speakers usually found in cheap keyboards. There is also a headphone jack, and from now on you will hear the direct recording from there. The keyboard has 2 chord modes, easy chords and free chords, and the chords also differ depending on the selected rhythm. In free chord mode, I can select the individual chord notes and the keyboard will try to figure out which additional tones fit. Especially with uncommon chords, the results sound interesting and sometimes oddly nice. In easy chord mode, one key produces a major chord and two keys together a minor chord. Full keyboard mode gives me, well, full keyboard. In full keyboard mode there is 7-tone polyphony, and it can do 4-tone polyphony when chord mode is active. I love how the rhythm button in combination with the rhythms produces all these different chord sounds, and how the free chords and easy chords differ. The overall sound is beautifully lo-fi and 8-bit, and it reminds me of the ad-lib sound of early 90s computer games. I am especially fond of the free chord sounds, and I love how they fit with some of the instruments. Interestingly, some chords include tones that are lower than what the keyboard range can do. Combined with my favorite instrument on here, the jazz organ, that produces an oddly beautiful sound landscape. You may have noticed that I love this keyboard. I am happy with the sound, because I did not expect so much variety from such a simple keyboard. You might see it in a later video, when I feel like doing a multi-track recording, but for this time, that is all. Thanks a lot for watching. Please subscribe, and see you next time.